the thing is, I really despise George Carlin.
Why?
Right? Because I believe he's one of them. You understand? Like, and he's one of the worst.
I don't think
he's one of the worst.
He was
no, because look, every time, whenever the shit hits the fan and it's time to, let's say, vote or do something or support something, he's gonna go Willie Nelson. He's gonna go Bill Maher. He's gonna go like fucking Mark Maron. That's what he's gonna do.
I don't think he
and
did.
they're fucking
I don't think he
bullshit
did.
artists.
I don't think he did at that time. What, you think he voted Democrat automatically?
My point is that he's. It's hard to explain what I'm saying, but I think that he is a really, really. He's him, Dave Chappelle, Jon Stewart.
Controlled opposition? Is what you're saying?
Not even controlled opposition. Actually, yes, I suppose it is. You know, like, it's supposed to be, you know, rebelling against all that crap that he's complaining about, ends up supporting it.
Yeah.
More, you know, because
the Democrats. That's all of them. That's all the what's it called?
Right. Я не хочу слушать от него, because he's just he's a tumor machine.
Yeah.
But with like there's no payoff.
Yeah. Here. He just it's like Joker. He says I just do things. There's no like it's tohu also. It's kind of like tohu.
Right, and he's been like that, by the way, he's always pushing the narrative of the evil white trying to hurt the brown.
Yeah.
And he never says anything bad about the brown or black. That's how you know. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So look, there is an evil white trying to do stuff to the brown, but there's also a hideously evil brown definitely trying to do shit to the white. Yeah. And when somebody is just telling you half of the story, you know what the fuck they're about.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, listen, the guy grew up, you know where he grew up, like upper, I think it was like west or upper Columbia, next to Columbia University, kind of Harlem area, but like back when it was kind of like half white. So he grew up with like blacks and Hispanics and all that kind of stuff. So I guess he's coming from that perspective, you know.
So did I. So what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, by us, it's like our grandmothers got mugged by Chorny on Brighton. You know, so we're kind of like
his grandmother and his grandmothers too. Trust me.
Yeah, even though he ignored it, we didn't.
That's right.
I think that's Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we did not ignore it, and a lot of these white people, especially the ones who live in suburbs now, did ignore it? Like, are they like masochists? Are they like что с ними?
So there's a okay, I need to somehow explain this, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like I have to process this thought.
Okay.
So what these people do, right, is, you know, like Bilam.
Yeah.
You know, like the Sorcerers of Old, all the people who understood the very, very, very detailed and very, very specific mechanics of the universe, right? Yeah. How the forces of nature, everything, the way that God set up the system, they understood the program very well, and they understood how to affect it.
Yeah.
How to elicit a response.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was very robotic. It was very banal, by the way.
Yeah.
So they understood that in order to elicit this response, you got to do this. So when you study the laws of, like, let's say the Gilo Arayos, right?
Yeah, Gilo.
Right. So so the things that we are prohibited from doing according to the Torah, they did those things specifically because they understood how the system will respond to them. So they weren't. I don't think that they were necessarily like out of control perverts.
Yeah.
Because that's not the fingerprint of just like unbridled passion. That's the fingerprint of a very specific, of a surgical act. You understand?
Yeah.
Like they understood that if they do this particular thing at this particular thing, they will draw down some kind of energy, and then they figured out how to channel it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bilam would do bestiality with his donkey.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
I don't know. Not that I'm down in what you're saying, but this was where this is found. This is brought down in the Zohar. Where is this brought down? What you're saying is there a midrash?
I've heard these things explained. I don't remember the sources, but my source is like, the rabbis that I listen to, to a certain extent, I consider them at times like speaking Torahs. Meaning, like, I trust them to bring the correct sources. I don't always know what they are.
Yeah.
Okay? But a lot of this is from the Zohar, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was too.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, you also have these odd, the odd, like the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, that kind of stuff. Like you'll always have those odd,
right.
things.
Correct. And also, I mean, look, there's a lot of different words associated with Kabbalah, right? And also, and Bart Tzadok is like, to him, this is seems to be like one of his main things. He wants everybody to distinguish the word Kabbalah from the Sitrei Torah, the secrets of Torah, which he believes are way more authoritative and authentic. Bart Tzadok doesn't believe that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar. He believed
I think he gave over the ideas, and I think somebody else physically wrote it.
So aside from,
it's kind of like Chaim
Vital. We can't have the discussion.
Chaim Vital wrote the ideas of Etatzami, of Ari. So Eitz Chaim is Chaim Vital. Obviously, it's had to understand what he's writing, but it's actually dictated from the Ari.
I get the impression that Bart Tzadok thinks that the Zohar was written through Ruach HaKodesh by Rabbi Moshe de Leon.
I don't think that's the case either. I think it was just brought down from generation from Bar Yochai. It started off in Bar Yochai by oral, and then it was brought and finally written down.
That's a different discussion. I was just because it's too big, to kind of like just touch upon it and go away.
Yeah.
That is not a wham bam thank you ma'am subject. You can't show up and then leave. You got to stick to that. That's why I'm scared to continue.
You can't just do a little Lag BaOmer dance in Meron and then just bounce.
Right. So that's a good way of putting it. Right.
Cute little and then just get the hell out.
By the way, I strongly disagree with Bart Tzadok on that, very, very strongly. Some of the stuff that he says makes zero sense, and I think it's just his own personal frustration. And sometimes his motivations are unclear as to why he's doing it, because he reveals a lot, and I guess then he feels he has to hide and confuse a lot too. I don't know. It's very strange. So I'm not sure. Okay, but he feels like, anyway. So a lot of this stuff comes from the Zohar, which is so according to Bart Tzadok, Kabbalah is the stuff that was developed in Spain, right? And the Sitrei Torah is the stuff that came before, like Rabbi Eliezer of Worms, the Chasidei Ashkenaz, and Sefer Raziel and the Hechalot, traditions, Merkava, that kind of stuff. He divides them. He says that the Zohar stuff is all philosophical, and the other stuff is the true secrets of the Torah, where the power is. And then he gives the impression that he thinks that the idea of Nukva, Zeranpin, and stuff like that was just a brand new language developed by the Ari. Okay, which is here's where I get confused by him. I know that he knows that's not possible, because when you study it and you see how it's all encoded in the text of the Torah, right? When you for instance, try studying Sefer Shar Pesukim from the Ari, and he'll show you how Zer Anpin, Nukva, and all this kind of stuff is just literally encoded everywhere. Okay, what he did was, and here's where I think a lot of people get confused, and we should talk about this at some point. This is, I think I might be able to offer something to a lot of people, because I've struggled. I've been through a lot of pain because of this particular topic, and I thought about it so often, and I think I found some way So basically, the idea is like this. Torah Chidushim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can be split up. That's a very general term, and people don't really know what that means when they say it. So, and even rabbis don't know. Rabbis are horrible at articulating important things. Horrible.
Yeah.
So, because they don't understand what makes, like you have a Baal Tshuva sitting there who believes that every little word of Torah was brought down from Mount Sinai to Moshe, and he carefully transmitted everything that we have now and will ever have. And the people, when he transmitted it to Yehoshua and to the elders, that they knew it all. Like they read all the Maimarim of the Rabbeim and all that kind of stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and in a certain sense, that's true. The info itself, right, is there. Perhaps not the vessel for it. Like for instance, like when they came time to write the Mishnayot, right? The laws, and every rabbi taught the same laws, had their own way of expressing it. Different metaphors, different this, right? Different, the rabbi's like, all right, you want to understand this law? All right, let's say you deliver a pizza and I hand you this and blah blah. Okay, that's how they did it. Although they did it with Ruach HaKodesh. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one type. The other type is where some information that was revealed on Har Sinai and the early generations knew about it. Then it became secret, or because of the diaspora, it became not well known except to the absolute top, right? And then it probably stayed that way for one reason or another. Yeah. And then it was revealed at a certain point later. So it's like we always had it, and then it was re-emphasized in a certain period of time, so that is a very, very likely scenario, and not because of wishful thinking. I have reasons for it, which it would just be a very long conversation. Okay, so but the other aspect of that type, that last example that I brought, is that it's always been there, because reading Torah and noticing something that's always been there, even if you never noticed it before, doesn't negate the fact that it was always there and it's undeniable. Yeah. It's like finding a new law of physics that people weren't aware of yet. Yeah. Did that law just get created, or was it always there and then people just finally noticed it? Yeah. So that's not an exact equivalency between what I'm describing in the Torah, but there's some similarity to that. That when you find something, a chiddush, right? It's very unlikely that you're the first one who ever saw it. Very unlikely. Okay, but it's possible. It's possible that no one has noticed it for a long time, because there's a lot of things that God made life really hard. People need to focus and filter and focus on the things that they really need just to get their stuff accomplished, and that does mean excluding from your attention other things. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're the first one who ever noticed it. And also, what I would tell Bart Sadok and people like him is that, and he probably knows this, I don't know what. So, because something was written for the first time in the 1200s does not mean that it was created at that time that it was written.
Of course.
The Torah is primarily oral. And if you don't trust that process, the transmission of the oral tradition, then you don't trust anything. Okay, so the guy frustrates me a lot,
Yeah. No, I hear that.
I don't think that he would sit still to have a discussion about it. I could see him be like, I don't need to talk about it. You know what I mean? Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. So what was the original point?
I don't. My original point?
Now, how did we even get in?
To be honest with you, I have no clue. We were talking about when to.
We're
talking about Carlin and like why this and why that and.
Okay. So here's Bilam, all that kind of. That was the main point. Okay. Yeah. So guys like Bilam, these sorcerers, right? They were surgical. They were surgical with their evil, and they did it because they wanted to access power a certain way, not necessarily because they were very passionately absorbed. They were very passionate, not necessarily because they had the proclivities towards evil, right? But the thing is, they did have the proclivities towards evil because they were attracted to their source in the spiritual realms. Okay. However, they weren't like out of control. They found a way to be very, very surgical with it, which means that it's on the one hand they were related to this stuff, and that subject matter itself is related to unbridled, out of control energy. But yet, in order to use it correctly, they had to be somewhat bridled.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's so guys like we were talking about Carlin and Chappelle and all that whole crew, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how conscious they are of it, whether they're pawns of it. They're most likely pawns.
Yeah.
But Carlin, it wouldn't surprise me if Carlin was one of the top guys, actually.
Of what? Of like consciously doing that kind of stuff, or not?
Of consciously being a part of this psychic mindfuck on society and the world. No, because that's what it is. All the black magic ritual stuff, all this, do you understand what the primary currency is in the universe? The primary currency is consciousness. Yeah. Because the physical reality that we affect the physical reality of the world, there's a way to affect it with our consciousness, because the physical reality is a byproduct or a final result of a very, very involved psychological, for lack of a better word, process. The reason why the world, you see, here's the thing. Your consciousness has some share in projecting the physical world. It's not the other way around. Yeah. Because the reality is there is no physical space. There is no. Not only are you experiencing this simulation, you're also generating it.
Of course.
And then when I say you, I mean people. That's what they do.
I know people. Yeah,
but especially Jews.
Yeah, I know.
Especially
we have the most power in that respect.
Right.
We have the most ability to do that, to conjure that up.
Right. Right, and Israelites as well too. There's a lot of people out there who don't know.
Oh, you're talking about the Israelites, as in like people who don't know that they're Jews? People
from the tribes, people from the lost tribes, to a certain extent,
yeah.
also have this power, however unconscious it is. Yeah. Okay, but like Rabbi Kessin says, there's a concept of tinok shenishba. Yeah. Right, and I think he explains that God puts a cap. He puts a cap on the power that is potentially there. And in reality, I believe that the entire world will fall to that category of tinok shenishba. Ultimately, all people. There's no. Why would God put 8 billion people on the earth to what? To just to make the special people feel really good about themselves. Like, watch what I do. I really like you. Now watch what I do with all this other skill. That doesn't sound like my God.
It's a little strange. Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Like, why? Yeah.
Okay. That sounds more.
It sounds very...
I don't even know. I was going to say that sounds Christian and Muslim, right?
Yeah.
But that's probably not even true. Yeah. It just sounds like some people who call themselves Christians and Muslims, something that they would say. Yeah. Or even some Jews, Sephardim. That was a joke.
Or Syrians. Okay.
No. Honestly, I think that we have these ideas also in the Ashkenazi Haredim too.
Of course.
I've heard that too. So, all joking aside, it does seem that unfortunately that mindset does exist. Yeah. But at the same time, I also don't blame them for having it, because it's a reaction to 2,000 years. Yeah. I'm not saying it's right, but it's kind of understandable how that developed.
Yeah.
Anyway, So that's what I think. I think that these guys, like Carlin, wherever he is on the totem pole, if he's a pawn, if he's a, one of the main guys, I don't know, but this whole practice of submitting to the enemy when it seems that it doesn't make any sense, right? It makes no sense. Why, right? Like why does the Israeli government, who has the power to control the region, they have the ability to ensure the safety, not ensure, but to take steps, to take responsible steps to make sure that girl who was raped and murdered in the Jerusalem Park forest by that Arab, right? They could take the steps to minimize or to completely remove that as a possibility. And they don't, right? And what they do is they attack Haredim, right? And they prosecute Haredim, persecute them, and they don't do that to the Arabs. So that is a psychological, that's a psyop to demoralize.
Haredi people.
Right, not just there's a reason for the demoralization. You understand? They're extracting energy.
Yeah, of course.
They're siphoning, they're sucking life force from. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, and that's what this is really about. And they're obviously doing the same shit in the media, and people don't understand this. People are like, "What's going on? Like, why would anybody do this? Like, normal people don't get it, because they're not aware that they're being fed on by vampires."
Yeah, it's mamash beyond anything logical. Why would Jews do this to Jews and all this kind of stuff? Like, why would it's one thing, like, it's funny, like Ben Gurion, the whole thing with Ben Gurion, that basically, because this, when you get into the discussion about, this whole what I call learner class now, millions of guys who are basically just learners in Israel and who are, living, so to speak, off the state. And you get into the discussion, and people will say, "Listen, Hazonish, it was a Hazonish, right?" And Ben Gurion had this agreement at that time, because you were talking about only 200 and 300 guys, and he just said, "Listen, give me these 200, 300 guys, and that, and fund those guys." But then 200, 300 became like 1 million or 1.5 million.
I have a different.
So those
take
guys,
on
so people like Ben Gurion gave the Haredim a space in society, but then I guess when they realized over time that these people are just, it's kind of like Pharaoh. We realize that we grew, the Yidden were numerous. Now we have to just like stomp these guys out. They're gonna. I mean, any statistics, Israel Bureau statistics says that people with kippas, and not just Haredim, like kippas, any kind of kippa, and also Masorti people with like 3 or more kids will outnumber, the rest of society. The Arab, they'll outnumber the lefties, they'll outnumber the rest of basically society.
Well, of course, because the lefties don't procreate.
Yeah. So, like right now, for example, if people who want to make, I have friends who told me they're trying to make Aliyah from America and Canada. Who are most of the people that are trying to make Aliyah at a time like this? From people from North America, from a perfectly, relatively speaking, comfortable, still with all the crap country, to go to Eretz Israel. It's mostly from crazy American from people, right? So the Israeli government today doesn't want any more of those people. They
Right.
give them, they make them jump through hoops and give literally like their uncle's left nut. Like somebody wrote to me, like they asked for like their uncle's birth certificate, father's brother. What? Like I was like, I never. I'm a Soviet Jew. They maybe do other things, that were annoying, but like that crazy things like that, I never heard. The only thing I'll say, man, like I'm wondering, like you have these people, this growing sector of religious people, but even though those people, when it comes to that, the stuff that they're the ones that are complying. Like the Dati Leumi are complying, the Rav Kook sector is. We wanted to speak about this. The Rav Kook sector is complying. They're mostly complying, except for like Hasidim. Hasidim are not really complying because they don't trust the government. Right-wing regular Masorti people are complying. You know who's not really complying? The leftists. They're the ones going onto the streets in Tel Aviv, which is, I think, is very interesting.
Yeah, you know who those, because you know who those leftists are?
Who? They're like hippie
They are
dippies.
the ones. No. They're the ones who thought that they were going to be part of the elite, and then realized that they were being pawns, right? They were being baited just to help do some stuff on the ground, and then the elite was like, "Nah, you guys are kind of dirty. You got the stink of the cattle on you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to stay down there."
You smell like that neighborhood, Florentine. You guys smell. We don't want to hang out with you. There's a neighborhood called Florentine in Tel Aviv. It's like
you didn't make you guys didn't make the cut. Sorry,
you didn't make the cut. You're not good, even good enough for merits. You can vote for merits, but just we don't want you in merits.
remember in Patriot Games? I don't know if you recall that movie.
Yeah, of course.
With so remember when they were the IRA, they were being supported by by this like Irish bookstore guy, right? He had like a bookstore. He was like an intellectual.
Yeah.
Do you remember? He's like this kind of like little squirrely guy, right? And he was being persecuted by the Brits or by the Protestants or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Right. And then he got fed up and he's like, okay, I'm going to go join the IRA. And he found out where their training camp was, but he wasn't up to snuff physically. He couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Not because he tried out, but right away the bad guy knew. Oh, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have come here because you can't be part of this. So, but also we can't let you know, we can't let you go because now you know where this is. He just shot him right there.
Do you remember in 300 that weirdly deformed creature who wanted to join a soldier?
That's right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right.
And then he became upset, and then he just started like killing and went crazy.
Right. So basically it's kind of like that, but even worse. Because they're like, the leftists are like, yeah, you guys, thanks a lot for your help, but you don't know what we're really about, and you can't come. Okay, so anyways, so the point is that what happens is that like cattle, right? You can't kill them out entirely, because you live off of it, right?
Yep.
So you have to keep a certain amount alive. Now the Erev Rav understands that they only get their power through Kedusha, right?
Yeah.
Through Kedusha. And so what they need to do is they need to keep that stream of Kedusha running.
Yeah. Because
they need it to live.
Yeah.
But they need to also then divert it. So they need to get the stream coming, right?
Yeah.
So they leave. Yeah. So they leave a bunch of guys learning.
Yeah.
And then the learner guys, they channel the Kedusha, and then what they do is they attack those learner guys or anybody who was keeping Torah and mitzvahs with all sorts of perversion and all sorts of temptations and things to do in terms of like Averis and stuff like that, and then that's where and then it channels over to them. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what Paro did too. He didn't want to kill all the Jews. He needed them. They were his power source. They were his battery.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the Erev Rav.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know, man. It's just what shocks me about this whole thing. Not shocks me, but it's very sad. I remember meeting. First of all, I remember meeting Bennett. Not meeting him in person, but seeing him in person at this event for Anglo-Israelis. This is like 2013, maybe. And he was kind of like nobody really knew about him. He was like, he was a high-tech guy. He made his $40 million in his high-tech exit. And then he came to basically replace, there was like this old guard of guys, in the Moledet party, the Dati Lumi, the Kippah Sugra party, basically. So he was basically the guy, the heir apparent, he just kind of came in to replace him because he had money. And he had, he knew how to talk a little bit, shtickle here and there. He was in Seret Matkal. So I remember him sitting there, and he had this kind of look on his face, like, and I was like, this guy, at that time it was like, this guy's a little bit kind of clowny, and he's a little bit, something about him is a little bit off, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's like you notice somebody's a little bit off, but you don't think it doesn't give you like a vibe of like evil. It doesn't give you a vibe of evil. You're just like the guy's a little bit, whatever.
He's a guy who thinks he can negotiate with evil.
Yeah.
That's probably how he started out.
He's like a in Russian we say hitrozhopy. That's what the vibe I got when I met him, when I saw him. and it's interesting because I have friends who were like in part of his he had like an NGO, My Israel or something, one of these like non-governmental organizations that eventually became his party beforehand. What was it called? No, I'll tell you what the party was called. When he first came in to office, it was full of just kippah sruga people in the beginning. It was the party, the Jewish Home, Beit Yehudi, right? So he's not even involved with that party anymore. The party is headed by some woman. So it was him and like a bunch of kippah sruga people, and then it was also a Yelit Shaked. Dude, this guy Bennett, he came out with a video about how we're gonna annex Area C. Like the part of Judea
Yeah,
and Samaria.
I
Yeah,
remember.
it's a whole thing. He had a whole Bennett. It was called the Bennett Plan. So I was like, wow, I'm voting for this guy. He's high tech. He's religious. Bennett Plan. This fantastic, right? Okay, so he's a little weird. He looks like the Joker when he smiles from Jack Nicholson's version. Okay, whatever. Not everybody's perfect. And then like as the years go by, actually, and even like up until this COVID thing, during the COVID thing, when Bennett was, Bibi was doing his crazy stuff, his like insane, like Yoram Ben Navat stuff with basically turning Pfizer into a Vodazora. I remember like Bennett was like one of his advisors, and Bennett was actually doing a fairly good job. And everybody was saying that like why don't and then he kicked Bennett off the committee, and he was like, wow, Bennett is so effective, this, that, and the other. And then like I remember like I didn't vote for Bennett, but I just remember like during the things and the whole negotiation coalition, and I actually remember like Bennett didn't get the most votes. He somehow, I don't even know how he got the mandate, and then he just like and then I was like, okay, so like okay, it is what it is. So like he's gonna form the thing, and then they said he was gonna like include the Arab guy, and then like it was basically like they didn't include any of the Haredim. They didn't include because nobody wanted to sit with them. So it was like him, Shaket, Shaket is with him, and then like a bunch like Meretz, Arabs, Lapid, and Sar, and I'm just like, что это? What is this? You know? And the guy basically and like everything he did even good during the 2020 for COVID during COVID, it's just like the guy just like got in and something like you said, it's got to be some sort of ministering angels thing because there's no other rational explanation for this behavior. Unless you think that he already had it embedded in him from the time that I saw him, I just didn't catch on.
That's the problem. That's
I
the
just
problem.
didn't catch
This is
on.
all speculation.
Yeah, it is all speculation, but it's like, dude, he just went off. And I have friends who were on his, they were like one of his. I was say, I don't say as a good friend, but he's an acquaintance of mine in Israel. He's like a high tech guy. He's a very good guy, and he was like one of his, kind of like, non governmental. Like the business people that follow politicians and they support them and they do all kinds of like volunteer PR for them. So this is a guy like that. And it's almost like I want to just come up to the guy and be like, dude, like this is the guy that you're still supporting, and it's just very. And then I know another guy who's like his PR agent to the Anglo Israelis, and he's also like a religious guy. And I'm just thinking, I'm looking at them and I'm like, how are they with a straight face going up? Like this guy goes on, what is it, Israel, Channel 7, whatever, I7 News or whatever it's called, and he just talks, he does PR for Bennett. And the other Matru, it's one thing to do PR for your candidate, when he's a candidate and he's trying to make a coalition. It's quite another when he's pulling things like this, when he's basically just turning millions of people into the enemy of the country for no reason, and now you're sitting there defending the guy. Like, dude, I don't know how to explain this. Do you have an explanation?
Aside from what I've said thus far,
Yeah,
not really.
It's astounding, and I purposely, I was in a WhatsApp group of Anglo supporters of Bennett's party. Just honestly, I was just wanted to see what the hell, kind of this was during the coalition building and the elections, the coalition, just to see what the agendas were. They also have had an inside track on internal discussions in the, before the news comes out, because these are people close to the campaigns, and I was in there, and then I don't know, I think it was like a month into Bennett being, or 2 weeks in, I already started seeing what Bennett is doing, and I can't even read what these guys are writing because I don't even know how they're writing it with a straight face. Like, the guys in that group, Bennett.
No, they're completely taken over.
Yeah, and but these guys are like, these are people who are like card-carrying members of of Yamina, of the party. Like they're like, they're like businessmen. They're like laymen, but they're like, like you can be actual, you get like they send you information packets. You make donations. Like it's like being an official member of the Republican Party here in America. So they're like members of Yamina. These guys, these Anglo guys, and like I just listen to them write stuff, and I'm like, do you not realize that your guy's freaking out of his mind? It's just totally, I don't know. It's. I just wanted to write in the group. I just left the group. I was just like, I can't listen to their crap. I can't listen to their benign, normal crap as they just ignore the insanity that their candidate is doing.
That's why I can't listen to. It's a little different, but I can't listen to basically anyone on Fox News. I can't listen to Hannity. I can't even really listen to Tucker or any of these people because they're ignoring all the most important stuff, and they're maintaining the matrix rather than unraveling.
I know they are the matrix or maintaining. Yeah, listen, even if some of them know the MS behind the scenes, they do know. I know that they know. It's like Mr. T. I know that you know that I know. Or what's his name? The other guy, Ralph Cramden. None. I know that you know that I know that you wanna, what. So I know that they know, but they're just keeping it, keeping it going. Keep on keeping on. Like, it's crazy, man. Just really crazy.
And you can tell. So you know what that means to me? Really, two possibilities. Either anybody who's like right on the fountainhead of something, like who's sitting on the lip of where this crap is coming from, is either there trying to destroy it or is maintaining it. And you can never know.
You're talking about, let's say, the person that funds Fox News, as one example?
No, I'm talking about, let's say, a guy like Hannity or let's say Tucker, for instance, right? Okay. Possibly. I could be wrong about all of this, obviously. So what I'm saying is that I'd like to believe that some of these guys are there and you don't know what their agenda is. Maybe Bennett falls into that category, right? That he's like right on the lip. Maybe Trump is like that too now. Where of maintaining the matrix, right? Or of trying to destroy it, and you don't know which one is which until the very end.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have guys who are on the fountainhead, meaning that's where the crap comes from, where it spews out of, the source, or the spigot, whatever the spout. Okay, so that's why it's very. I guess I don't know how helpful it is to even talk about it because it's basically just like farting.
Yeah, it's all speculation. Yeah, I don't know. People always ask me about, and my mother asked me this as well about, so how do you explain Trump pushing? I think you asked me as well. Trump pushing
I don't know.
the stuff.
I don't know how to explain that. I haven't heard anything that made sense to me.
I think that he knew that anyway the stuff was going to be made, and the stuff that and I even think that he knew that he was going to, quote unquote, that these guys were going to cheat and get into power, and he knew that they were like, I'm telling you, I think that this is probably, if it goes down the way I think it might go down, which I might be totally wrong and I might be completely speculating, and if it does go down this way, it'll probably be the biggest sting operation anybody's ever done. You know what I'm saying? Like, just setting people up for failure. Like, I have a feeling he set up Fauci and set up the Democrats for a massive like downfall, to the point where they will have to go away forever. Like, it's one of those things, if you want to drain the swamp, you know how draining a swamp works? Like, you know what they did in Israel? You have to bring in, you plant the eucalyptus trees, right? So what does the eucalyptus tree do? It just makes the water go down, and then once the water goes down, you see all the crap. All the crap has to come up basically, or you have to make it visible somehow. That's how you drain it. And like we've been seeing all the crap. That's how you drain the swamp. You can't drain the swamp by just pulling things out directly. You know, it's got to be that suckage. You know, with the suction, not suckage, suction effect with the eucalyptus. And I think that's what Trump's been doing at every step of the way. Even the stepping aside thing, as he's like releasing his little circulars every so often. But I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's doing. And at some point, dude, it's just gonna be like, like Chappelle, gotcha, bitch, with the Porsche.
I hope you're right. I don't want to.
I could be dead wrong, by the way, about this. I could just be like, okay, whatever, just keep making myself feel better.
Yeah. That's what I think is happening. That's what I think is happening. And actually, you brought that idea in one of your videos. You were talking about the controlled demolition, secret societies that are doing something to save us. Remember that plenty of regimes have employed that as part of their plan.
But see, here's the thing. I think I even mentioned in that video, maybe another video. Here's the thing: just because that is there, doesn't mean that there's nothing going on.
I'm not blaming you.
No. I know you're not blaming. I'm just saying just because that is there doesn't mean that there's nothing. Doesn't mean there's not. It could be like it's like a psyop to the psyop. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, here's what I think. It probably, if I had to really put money on something, and so here's what I would put my money on. And this is all guessing.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of these guys operate where I've noticed a lot of people who are successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at them as they must be really in the mix. They know everything. They see all. They're all Sherlock Holmeses. No. They really understand every detail.
Nope.
No, well, hold on. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying people.
Yeah.
But really, when I've met successful people, I realize, oh my blood. There's no. You can't even learn from them because they don't know why they're successful.
They don't know why they're successful, and they can't even, and they will not give you the secret.
No.
Ever.
No, they don't know the secret because a lot of these guys think
they fell into
that they're successful because they're so smart or because they have these wonderful qualities, which they don't.
They just fell into it. They were appointed.
They somehow fell into it. So it was like, oh, God just gave them this for some reason. Yeah. That's the only explanation.
Listen, if I know, you know how I know that's to be true. What you're saying? There was a guy that I worked for in Israel who ran this this Jewish organization that was attached to Lieberman's party. This guy was from Kiev. He's like if you ever meet the guy, he's not a bad guy. He's just like one of the most talentless people I've ever met in my life. One of these guys. Yeah, he's like into like he was following he was following like Rabbi Ginsburg, and he bought these like he had an office in our office. He had a room in our office, and he bought like these the Rabbi Ginsburg's books, and then he had like Zohar, whatever. This like guy, you know how he got his money from what's called upshak. You know what upshak is in Russian?
No.
They made him into a de facto mini oligarch because somebody saw that he can be trusted with money, and they gave him money to watch over it. And obviously he got his thing was to get a portion of it. His I guess you could say take or commission. So he didn't do anything. The guy, I'm telling you, he's like Homer Simpson mixed with he's like a glorified Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin, Jewish version from Kiev. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm just like, Shtoty. Like I wrote him a speech that he read at the presidential conference in Jerusalem about like Jews outside of North America or something. And he speaks English, but he couldn't read. He could barely read it. He could barely give it over. And I'm just there, and I'm standing there, and I'm just like, Hashem, this is who you appoint? This is who you give money and power to? Like, really? It's like, seriously? This guy was like a taxi driver in Kiev. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just like, I was like, откуда ты приперся. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. It's just like whatever. It was just yeah. That's how I learned. I'm like that's really what cemented for me. Like I always say there's like a joke. I say, I meet some guy and I talk to him for 5 minutes and I go to my friend. This guy's proof that Hashem definitely decides your parnasa. It's like Mizrahi had this whole thing about guys. He's like, you go to 47th Street, the guy cannot even sign his name on a contract, and he pick up the phone, talk for 5 minutes, $200,000. How you explain that?
Yeah.
He's
right.
like, it's a mazal. It's a mazal. It's a bracha. Mazal. Okay, he did a hishtadlut, pick up the phone, talk for $200,000. He can't sign his name in any language. He's like, he can't sign in English, in Hebrew. He's illiterate. He came from Iran. He came from Iraq. He's Morocco. It's just, yeah. Hashem gave him cash.
That's exactly what it is. And the funny thing is, like, it was a painful thing to, as a kid, trying to figure this all out or not having all this information.
Yeah.
Where let's say you're talking to a kid. Like I always had like weight control issues, right?
Yeah.
And I guess like my own self-image or whatever. I don't know. Like, I don't want to use too many fucking cockamamie psychobabble terms, right?
Psychobabble bullshit. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I was like, I looked different than the kids who the girls liked.
Yeah. Let's just put it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
I want to look like the guy who gets the girls, and I don't.
By the way, can I tell you something? In high school and in junior high school in Jersey, I also looked that way, but in the reverse way, meaning I wasn't like jacked up. I was like this, whatever. I was athletic, but I was like a skinny, slender athletic.
No, but that's actually what the broads like.
No, the broads don't like. The broads didn't like that at that time. They like it now. At that time, they liked the Chaz, Tad, Brad, and Zad, and whatever you'd call them.
Whatever. I wasn't either one.
That was in my school.
I was the one that they never liked.
Okay,
I was the one that they never liked.
In my school, they liked the football
okay?
players who occasionally took steroids during the season and they inflated and then they deflated, but they were still kind of inflated. That's who they liked. They didn't like guys like me who didn't do steroids and just played, tennis and hockey and soccer.
Right.
Anyway.
So, okay. So right. So the point is, I wasn't either of them. Yeah. I was just a fat kid. Okay. And okay. So
you're like at the bottom of the hierarchy.
I was born in the bottom. Okay, I really was. So and then you want to figure out how to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
And you start, so you have a humbling thought. Maybe you could talk to one of these guys, because it's sort of like it's a pain in the it's humbling to have to ask for some information, some help, because that means you have to admit that you feel yourself inferior, right? And you'd like to improve, and then you're coming to this person that you want to get information about how to improve, thereby revealing that you think that they are superior.
Yes.
That's not an easy place to put yourself in, right?
Yeah.
So the times that I did that, I thought it would pay off, but it ended up like this, where even the guy who wants to help you, right? Let's say you found a good Chaz, right?
He doesn't want you to be better than him. He will never help you to.
No. What if let's say you found a Chaz that is like he's a saint.
Yeah.
Let's say amazing Chaz.
They existed. I had those guys.
Of course they do. No, so many of them, by the way. So many.
Yeah.
Those guys. So most of them are nice, actually. Anyway, relatively. So basically, they want to help you, but they don't understand why it works for them. They thought they did, and they thought that they could give you the information.
They think it's one size fits all.
Right, and when they see it's not working, right? They're like, you listen. You got to stop being lazy, or you're eating too much.
You're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong.
Right.
Right.
There's something because they can't understand, because they actually desperately want to help you because they're your buddies.
Because they don't understand that they don't understand that their metabolism can break down metal and nails, and then your metabolism just absorbs everything in its path.
Exactly. Okay. And so nobody understands that. I didn't understand that, and he didn't understand it. And then so I sink even lower than I was, because instead, not only am I like I was born in this, and I look and I have the appearance of not someone who I look like someone inferior, right? But
I
at the same
said this
time,
to
it's
you
my
many
own damn
times,
fault.
and you've been married. How old were you when you got married?
I was 26.
How old are you now?
I am 40.
I'm 40 now, my friend. I'm gonna be 41 in December. Still not married. So clearly, either you're doing something better than me, or I'm doing something wrong, or Hashem, gave you the mazal, and he's withholding that.
That's it. That's what. By the way,
Yeah,
I got
that's where
when
you're
my
getting
wife
to.
met me. I was in the best shape of my life.
Baruch
There was
Hashem.
a time when I got pretty close.
Same.
I was
same.
a personal trainer.
Late 20s,
I had a gym.
Yep. Very nice. This
So
is where in Crown
I'm sure that,
Heights,
and I
where
had
was this?
I had a leather motorcycle jacket.
This is in
and I
Crown
had
Heights.
the same kind of hat that you wear.
Oh, like a beanie.
Okay,
situation?
I had I had like a beanie. I had like a certain look, and I think it was just like a moment.
Yeah.
It was like a moment.
Your wife caught you in that window. It's like your wife caught you in the 80s. What we think
She
of the
called
80s.
me. Every dog has their day, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's what happened. That's what happened. Kind of. Well, yeah. Anyway, in my late 20s, early 30s.
Right. So so the point was that we're talking about this Muzzle thing.
Yeah.
So the guy who's who being jacked and being handsome comes easily to him, right? That's just Muzzle, and he doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
But it's also extremely humbling. It might even be more humbling, harder for these guys to realize that they were just given something, and it's not because of their awesome qualities that they have what they have. Although that's what they believe.
Yeah.
And they judge, and also a lot of these guys end up judging people. They're like, look, the reason why you're not successful is because you didn't get off your ass and you didn't do this and you didn't do that.
Girly man. I will pump you up, but you're not working. You have to work harder.
Yeah, you didn't work hard enough.
You're girly man.
You drank milk, and milk is for babies. You should drink beer. That's so random. I just wanted to repeat that line that he had in
SNL.
No. That's actually from the documentary Pumping Iron, where he was like showing off his muscles. No, this is Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
he was showing off his muscles.
Ferrigno was in it. He was like the second in.
Yeah, he was right. Yeah. He was the enemy, right?
Did you see the part where I don't want to get too how should I put this? Not sneeze, but there's a part where he's like, it feels like I'm, all the time when I'm pumping, it feels like I'm,
It's better than sex, right? He was joking.
He didn't like I'm, whatever.
It's like an orgasm, right?
He just kept saying it.
No, but so my favorite line in the movie is when he was putting on a show outside, just showing everybody his muscles. It's like some outside area in California, and then some lady asked him. He was taking questions, Q&A, right? So some lady's like, "You must drink a lot of milk." He goes, "I don't drink milk. Milk is for babies. I drink beer." Cocainum.
Dude, all right, I'm telling you, there's a you can go watch. Speaking of cocaine, and speaking of the 80s and Maradona, we were talking about this yesterday. There's a you can go watch on YouTube. There's a clip of how Maradona. You think the 80s was like this Mashiach time? Here's my. I'm gonna throw a wrench in your operation. Maradona just finishes a match. I'll tell you what this was. I think it was like some sort of all-star game.
The hand of God thing? You're talking about that?
No. It's called, the video is literally called Maradona Sniffs Greatness. It was, after single-handedly winning La Copa, Maradona had a chance to cement his status as the greatest soccer player of all time in a global all-star game in Pasadena, California, a month later. So this is like in the summer of '86. The game featured the players from the Americas, since Argentina Maradona was the world champion as part of the Americas, versus the rest of the world. Down 2-0 late in the game, Maradona scored an assist and assisted to send the game to penalty kicks. The video picks up with South Korean player from the rest of the world missing his kick, giving Maradona the opportunity to score and finish the comeback. Watch what he does immediately after his friend, quote unquote, in the aquamarine shirt comes out to get the party started. And instant, so some guy, literally some like whatever, Argentinian guy ran out the field, one of his handlers, entourage guys, and he gives him cocaine on the field, and he snorts it on the field right after winning the game in front of, there's 100,000 people in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. He snorts cocaine in front of 100,000 people and national television.
Yeah. No, but that's not a monkey wrench in my.
But this kind of stuff was rampant. Not only cocaine. No, all different things in the 80s
Dude,
were.
I'm not saying that the 80s fit the description very, very well of the kind of situation that is around right before Mashiach comes,
Correct.
because it has this like contradictory thing going on. Like you have all these incredible discoveries and this
a lot of good and a lot of evil
energy, right?
Yeah.
Everything is energy, high energy. You know, everything is epic.
I know.
But now only the evil is epic.
I know. Sometimes I wonder if we only think that. Sometimes I wonder if people, I'll tell you, my parents also, when we came to America, they were saying that, supposedly most people loved Reagan, let's say in America, but the media also at that time also were like, they were saying how Reagan's going to get us into nuclear war. They did this for 8 years.
Yeah, they always hated Reagan.
Yeah, they always hated Reagan. No, but it's like, so my mom's like, this is no different, with Trump, right? But the only difference is, it seems like,
dude, they tried to kill Reagan, bro.
Yeah, I know. In the beginning, in 81. In 81, say, what's it, Hinckley. But like, it seems like now they just convinced, or the media, people believe the media now. Or many people do. Or did. Now they don't. After this crap. But, I don't know. It's like, sometimes I wonder, are we living in just an all evil thing? Or, was the 80s also more evil than good, and we just think it's so great?
Look, the situation is, can I make the point, get the last word, and go? Because I see what time it is.
I also got to bounce, yeah.
You have less time to prepare for Shabbos than I do. But basically, during the 80s, look, I'm sure that there's amazing good that's actually happening right now.
Yeah.
But it's very, very, very concealed.
It's being obfuscated. It's being concealed, obfuscated. Yeah. There's a lot of hesed in your own personal life. You can see it.
Right. But in the 80s, there was a palpable energy of that was good, as well as with really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Now we just only feel the really bad stuff.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People listen to this new genre of music called Cyberpunk, which is supposed to be like it's like a rekindling of the 80s. They use the same.
I know.
They use the same equipment to make the music that they did in the 80s, right?
They did that for the theme of. I noticed that.
I think Stranger Things had a huge influence.
I call the genres. I call the genre Ready Player One.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so you see people like millennials, making comments on YouTube, which a lot of them are pretty funny, and they have this makes everything feel epic, and it really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and there's no epic feelings right now.
I know.
So to be continued. So did you change the video?
I did. I probably changed it. It's posted. It's up. People listening to it.
You know what's funny? This conversation we just had, maybe one of the best episodes that no one will ever hear.
I recorded it too. So we'll see what
happens. You recorded this?
Yes, sir. 1 hour.
Oh, you're awesome. You're awesome. Because I think I was a little bit more anal.
No, it was able. I had a feel. The topic that we already kind of started. I was like, okay, this might be something that's good. So I was like, let me.
Wow, you recorded that. That's all. You're a champ. No, well, because even if nobody likes it,
I don't give a damn.
At least I get. I'm just saying. At least I get to hear thoughts and maybe work on them if they're stupid. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna post it next week. So, B'ezrat Hashem.
Nice, you're the man. Yeah. All right, man.
All right, Shabbat Shalom. I'll talk to you.
Shabbat Shalom, motherfucker. Sorry, I had to do that. I ruin everything.
We'll cut that out.
That's my pattern.
It's fine. They'll deal with
it. I want it to be the Hebrew Hammer for a second. All right.
Later.
I regret that. Listen, have a beautiful, true Shabbos, which is Shabbos. Shabbos is actually the point of existence. The world, the completed world that God intends, that He wanted to show Adam and never got a chance to show him, is called Shabbos world.
Of course, Shabbos world. Right. If you want to go to the Sesame Street version.
No, not the Sesame Street version.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
real one.
today I'm participating in a Shabbaton of like one of these the Kiruv organizations. So
Yeah.
they asked me to come as my friend asked me to come stam just like because I haven't seen whatever I want to see my friend, but also I'm gonna kind of like be there as like a what was a product of their thing. But I said I'm not a product. I mean I am a product, but I'm definitely not the product you want to show. I'm a defective.
Right.
I'm a defective product, or maybe you do. Maybe you do want to show me. So I'm gonna try to
Dude,
deep.
they want to show you. They want to show you because
I know.
you have Jewy good looks.
No,
You're tall and you're thin. You have a good way of expressing yourself,
Listen.
and you have some level of
Can
economic
I read to
success.
you very quickly the schedule, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in between all of this Shabbaton is happening. I'm going to tell you what they're planning, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, or what I may end up doing. See, it says okay, candle lighting, whatever, mincha, ta, ta, ta. Okay, 6:30 p.m. Rabbi so and so, define your Judaism in 6 words or less at this address, and then a meal. This is tonight. And then Oneg at Manhattan Beach Community in Brooklyn with Rabbi Statata, Jewish pride through Hashkafa divine providence. Okay, we'll see what happens there. And then tomorrow you get Shacharis, and then you get 10:30 a.m. Rabbi so and so, foxholes in faith, the emotional world of prayer. and then you get a Kiddush, and then you get actually a rabbi who's I'm close with. Who actually I want to hear what he has to say. The truth, what's in it for me? Emmett, no, the truth, what's in it for me? And then lunch, and then just downtime, and then 4:15 p.m. Rabbi so and so, Torah, universal or just? That's this location. And then right after that, Rabbi so and so, the holiness of halacha, and then mincha, and then shalashudas along with Rabbi so and so, Jewish marriage through the lens of our parsha. Oh, this is like this the Chayasara. So this is what we're dealing with. The Triumph the Insult comic dog.
I love him.
He used to say, "I can smell your crotch from here."
Yeah.
So when you were sighing. I was just like, I can smell someone's crotch from here.
Yeah.
By the way, we're gonna end on this. I just want to say we should say bracha. We should say maybe Tehillim. You could say Tehillim for Goyim, right? For non-Jews. For a foolish layman.
I don't see why not.
Curtis Sliwa, the candidate for Republican for mayor, he was hit by a cab. He's in Lenox Hill Hospital now. This is not the first time this happened. They tried to kill him inside of a cab. This is years ago in the 90s. The Genovese.
They shot him a bunch of times.
He survived. So my friend just wrote to me, horrible. Hope he's okay. He's at a hospital now in Lenox Hill. 100% a hit job, 0 doubt. They always go after the good one. This guy, dude, he like helps. He fought crime.
I know.
Yeah. Then they'll say he's not fit to run.
I remember there's a Rebbe video where the guardian angels come to get brachas from the Rebbe.
Yeah. Of course. Anyway, so we have to daven for Curtis Sliwa. He actually is a defender, I feel, of the Jewish people, physical defender, as well as ideological.
My brother did a podcast with him.
Yeah, he's great. And listen, it's a shame that I live in you could say that I live in the New York metro area, but even though I live in Jersey, and I think people here are influenced who the mayor of New York is than who the mayor of their like little town is. But it's unfortunate I can't vote for mayor. So. But I hope, whatever, we'll see. I hope he wins. I think that Adams guy is going to win anyway. But Adams, I mean, I guess he also likes Jews. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I think you said this. When push comes to shove, it's going to be like the Dinkins days.
Yeah, it's all lip service from the Dems.
Yep.
Not even anymore. Now they're literally just saying.
No, they're saying what they're going to do. There's no hiding. Everything's out in the open. Yeah. That's it. Anyway, so we got to dive in for Curtis Sliwa.
Thanks for letting me know, man. That's upsetting. Yeah.
All right, man. Have a good Shabbos.
Have a great Shabbos.
I'll catch you.
All right, brother.
Later.